This is IBM Museum, and I've got another unboxing to do. This is just a random thing, but it actually turned out to be relevant. So let me get turned around and get in front of the camcorder here to go through for this unboxing. And I've got my knife, got everything masked off on the address portion or any shipping information as well. Although the person that sent this to me, I know is well, I'm very grateful to them for going through and being aware that I was trying. I was trying to get one of these adapters to go through and capture the ROMs and such from it, and it's supposed to be a new packaging. Let's go through and let's. Okay, so it states what it is right there, and there's actually a page at the Art and Tool. I'll provide the link, and I can bring that up at the appropriate time as well. Here is telling me a lot of muted and unmuted. So I must not be keeping my head up or something else for it to think I've gone through and muted things. I was going to go through and show. I mean, there's a little bit of a wraparound label for sealing. Catalog number, and then Western Digital, not Radio Shack, supplies all warranty and support information of this product. Customer support number. And that's, I don't think that's probably still in service. Must have been through a Radio Shack dealership, though. And it gives a little bit more information. That's a hard disk controller. Of course, it did say ESDI microchannel compatible controller. Yeah, Western Digital controller there. That label's a little bit obliterated. Looks like the wraparound label on the other side is the same. And it's been open on both ends. It's got this insert and foam padding. It's like an anti-static bag. Oh, nice little booklet. Tandy 5000 MC ESDI hard drive controller adapter installation and operation. It's interesting for that because this is saying it was on a Tandy 5000 microchannel, and that is a very rare microchannel system. And I was aware that this being the hard drive controller of the Bull Micro system too. In fact, there's a question on it whether it has the back bracket or not. Okay. It's standard utilities diskette. Now I'll go through and scan this manual too, because this is some really good information. And so we learned that the source for this is was supposed to be on a Radio Shack MC5000. That's interesting. Okay, and the microchannel ESDI format utility version 2.02. Copyright Western Digital Corporation 1988. And it's got a Western Digital part number. So that diskette can be archived as well. Here is the control cable for ESDI. And that's interesting in itself that it doesn't have a twist. Doesn't have a twist in the cable. Doesn't identify. This is for the controller side. And this would be for your primary ESDI drive at the end of the connection. And then a secondary drive in the middle if you have it. But normally this would have, and it's keyed, but it doesn't have the twist that is normally in place. And that means that you would set the effective twist on the drive identification. The jumpers on the drive would be set to take care of that twist. And then they have a single data cable, which is the 20-pin cable. And that's not, I don't see any keying for that. I think on the, I guess on the regular IBM adapter, it's not keyed either. So that's probably fine. And then within the anti-static bag, and this is not sealed, but it is probably not been pulled out of the bag too much. In fact, it's even got a little detents for the brackets for the plastic. Probably in the Texas heat, just kind of gave a molding to that. But yeah, it looks like pretty brand new. Okay. So it's got a bodge wire there, but that's not any big deal. And we'll take a look at the label in the back, made in Ireland. Nice and shiny. I don't have my ring light on. But that gives a lot of reflections. And then we'll kind of go through just on the side scan if I can get my camcorder to. So this is the controller on the board. And it's an Intel 80C188. And IBM went through and used that controller on some of their SCSI later SCSI adapters. There's the microcode. And these ROMs have not been captured yet. And so I will do the capturing of those, and also just kind of go through kind of a scan of the adapter. There's that Western Digital Corporation 1988 again. And then there is the ROM BIOS extension, and that will also be captured. Now for the connectors, this is the control cable position here, keyed. And then for your data cable for your primary drive and your secondary drive. And it looks like it's actually keyed on that connector. I didn't see the keying on this, so normally that would prevent you, like, from connecting it the wrong way, 180 degrees out. So with the, this, it also had the, yeah, it's got the keying for the drives too. Okay. So normally the cables would have the pin 1 position in the same direction. And that's even interesting for that, on how the cable goes in this situation. Of course, for the Model 60 I have here, it's got the control cable here, and actually is going up. Now, if this looks somewhat familiar, there's a reason for that. I mean, 2 recent videos of mine, and that this is the IBM version right here. And I've been going through and developing a utility to tell the microcode version by the IBM FRU that's on this. And IBM has an Intel 8031 AH microcontroller to run this board, the microcontroller to run the board. So lesser, of course, than the C, or excuse me, the 80C188. Effectively a microprocessor with some added functionality there, but more processing power on that. And it'd probably be a little bit even more evident with the older IBM ESDI adapter, in that on those they have the ROMs in a different orientation. But you can see the similarities between the boards, and they're the same functionality. In fact, these both have the same adapter ID. And so it's going to be interesting with my utility in trying to check the microcode of these IBM adapters, of making sure it's not confused with the microcode or this adapter. This will have a microcode level that's incompatible. It's for a whole different processor architecture, or a microcontroller architecture. So there's ways I have to do that, though. And I have elaborated a little bit on the PS2 Facebook group on steps I'll be going through. I can probably do an announcement at the later point where I come up with the utility and kind of demonstrate it. But I just have to go through and distinguish between the two with the same adapter ID, because in a microchannel world, that's how the system knows what adapter description file is appropriate for adapter, is the adapter or POS ID of that. And both of these are adapter ID DDFF. And so it's probably a good time to go through and to show the page at the Arden tool for this adapter. And as you see there, it's got the ADF file at the top, the IBM version of that DDFF adapter description file. And there's lots of good information already. In fact, this has recently been part of a test. There's quite a few controllers, microchannel. These are the two microchannel adapters were this and the IBM adapter, but ISA adapters, ESA adapters were tested just to see the differences in those. And I can go through and there's a link from this. Wolfgang Gale is the individual that ran those tests. Very good link to information of his test that he ran through. Here's the diagram of the board, and the of course there's anchor links up above, but we get down to BIOS and microcode images not available yet. Well, they will be. I'll go through and pull out the EEPROM reader and go through and get those images. And there's, of course, some limitations. I don't know how far I'll be able to test this board. In fact, I'll probably try and get it set up. I do have an ESDI drive that I can go through and see if I can get it to work. Certainly for Wolfgang's test, it did work. The drive and the controller work together, so I'll have to go through and test that. And I'd like to go through in kind of a side-by-side comparison in the same way to go through and make sure that I'm not, as I say, I'm distinguishing between the two adapters just because they share the same adapter description file. So if you thought that this video was informative, you enjoyed it, go ahead and click on that like button, please. And as always, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.